SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, something big is going down inside the building in Minnesota. Imagine a week where the starting quarterback changes again and a rookie gets a massive opportunity. In the middle of all that, a new signing drops right before Sunday's game. At the same time, the former leader of this offense is now a dangerous opponent, and the head coach is letting slip the kind of truths that usually stay locked in the locker room. To top it off, there is a heavy, emotional rant about the future of the most important position on this team. Stick with me, because that last part is straight up goosebumps. But before we break down every detail of this wild stretch, let me talk to you for a second. Hit that subscribe button on the channel. It does not cost you anything, it is completely free, and it helps a ton to keep this fan voice alive. Smash the like button as well, because that is what makes YouTube push the video to more Purple fans around the world. And get your comment ready, because this space belongs to everyone who truly bleeds purple. Man, the vibe in Minnesota flipped upside down this week. You look at the field and see J.J. McCarthy out with a concussion. Max Brosmer steps in as the starter, and out of nowhere, Desmond Ridder's name pops up again. That is the kind of late November move that makes the Purple faithful scratch their heads and wonder what exactly the front office is cooking, because he is not just some random name thrown onto the depth chart. Ridder has already bounced around the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Bengals. He has gone to and from practice squads. He has been the emergency third quarterback. The guy basically lives out of a suitcase in the NFL. And even so, Kevin O'Connell looks at him and says, "I want this guy close." Even if it is as the number 3 option, he clearly sees something there. And as always, you only get this kind of Vikings fan read right here. To be honest with you, I do not see Ridder as a long-term answer at all. His track record is exactly what it is. 8 wins and 10 losses as a starter, roughly 4,000 passing yards, 16 touchdown passes, and 14 interceptions. A lot of up-and-down football. But he is mobile, he knows the system, and he has already worked with this group. In a moment when JJ is out and Brosmer is a rookie with almost no real mileage, having someone who has seen the movie before calms the chaos just a little bit. Just a little. And then the emotional side kicks in. The Vikings are about to face Sam Darnold, the guy who dragged this team to 14 wins, a Pro Bowl appearance, an offense in rhythm, and sky-high confidence. The front office looked at all of that, looked at the price in Seattle, that 3-year, $100.5 million contract, and decided, we are betting on JJ, we are handing the keys to the kid. Now the bill is coming due. 4 wins and 7 losses on the season, 2 wins and 4 losses with him as the starter, and a fan base completely split. It is tough to admit, but that is the reality. I feel it every time I talk to other fans. We respect the plan to develop JJ. We know he has dealt with injuries. We understand that adapting takes time. But when you look across the field and see Darnold at 8 wins and 3 losses, playing loose and running the show in Seattle, it is impossible not to wonder, did we rush this rebuild? It hurts. And Ridder coming back as a safety net quarterback only makes it more obvious that the Vikings are patching over off-season decisions. At the same time, though, this is the kind of week that can flip the narrative. If Brosmer steps in and plays well, if the offense finally finds some rhythm, if Ridder never even needs to leave the sideline, the whole conversation changes. But if the kid struggles, if the pressure hits and Ridder becomes a real option on the field, then the weight lands hard on the front office. It will show that this so-called future plan is shakier than anyone wanted to admit. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and keep this in mind because it only gets more intense from here. Next up, we bring in the message Justin Jefferson sent straight to Brosmer. It sounds simple at first, but it says a lot about the mood inside that locker room. When Justin Jefferson decides to open up about a quarterback, I stop and listen. We are not talking about just any wide receiver. We are talking about the guy who has carried this offense on his back for years. What he said about Max Brosmer this week tells you a lot about where this team is mentally. It tells you a lot about trust. While J.J. McCarthy is still stuck dealing with the concussion protocol, Jefferson praised exactly what fans want to see in a young quarterback. Quick reads, understanding coverages, attacking the right windows, and putting touch on the ball when it is needed. He said Brosmer can really sling it when he has to, but also drop it in softly into the right spot. It does not sound like empty praise. It sounds like a leader looking at the guy who might run the offense on Sunday and basically saying, I believe in you. Honestly, that hits me as a fan. We all know Brosmer barely has any real NFL experience. He has only come in for a handful of situations. He has never carried a game from the first snap. It is nerve-wracking to imagine him starting right away against a tough Seahawks team on the road. But when the most important offensive player on the roster puts that stamp of approval on him, the feeling shifts. It is not total confidence, but it turns into, okay, there might be something here. and you only get this Vikings fan perspective here. Deep down, Jefferson's comments are also a message to everyone who defends the North. Something like, do not throw this kid into the fire until you actually see what he is. That goes for us in the stands, for the media, and for the coaching staff. He is asking to get the ball out of Brosmer's hands faster, to protect him from the pass rush, to simplify the reads, to build rhythm and confidence. It sounds like a small thing, but that is how you keep a rookie from getting burned in his first real shot. Kevin O'Connell has also made it clear he trusts the process with this kid. He talked about how Brosmer attacks every practice, how he makes the most out of scout team reps, how he stays ready even knowing that, at least on paper, he was behind Carson Wentz and JJ in the pecking order. That matters. A locker room can see who is just there and who is truly bought in. And this kid feels like the type who shows up early and leaves late. Hopefully, the Vikings could use a few good surprises. Between us, fan to fan, the fear is real. Everyone remembers a rookie who got thrown in too early and sank. At the same time, there is that little spark of curiosity. What if Brosmer clicks with Jefferson, finds a groove with Addison, leans on the short passing game, manages the offense, and lets the defense do its thing? He does not need to become a star in one Sunday. If he nails the basics at a high level, the whole mood around this season shifts. Let me know if you agree. And hold on to that feeling because this quarterback story still has a lot of twists coming. Next up, we head into the reunion with the former leader of this offense out in Seattle and into the way Jefferson talks about him now. Some of what he says stings, but it explains a lot about why this offense feels stuck. Honestly, this one hits on a different level. Watching Justin Jefferson talk about Sam Darnold like that, already settled in with Seattle, messes with any fan who still remembers last season. Darnold walked out of Minnesota with doubts hanging over his head after that weird finish. Now he is out there with the Seahawks, sitting at 8 wins and 3 losses, fully in control, running an explosive offense. And our best offensive player is basically saying out loud, he is absolutely balling. That hurts. Even if it is true, Darnold is stacking strong numbers week after week. He is protecting the ball reasonably well. He has turned Jackson Smith-Njigba into a true go-to target. And in the process, he is rebuilding his entire career arc. Jefferson did not sugarcoat anything. He said Darnold is balling, leading the team, and making it impossible to ignore what he is doing. When an all-pro talks like that about a former quarterback, it is not just a polite compliment. It is real respect. The Vikings nation feels that contrast in its bones. To be straight with you, this is exactly the moment when fans start asking if the franchise jumped the gun. The plan on paper looked great. Darnold holds things down, JJ McCarthy arrives, learns, and takes over at the right time. Then the injury hits JJ. Darnold turns in the best season of his career, drags the Vikings to 14 wins, but stumbles in the biggest games. The front office looks at all of that, takes a deep breath, and decides, we are staying with the kid anyway. Now, with Darnold on the opposite sideline, that decision feels a lot heavier. Every conversation with other fans turns into the same thing. We all understand that a big quarterback contract is a long-term commitment. We know Seattle paid a premium. We know this is not a video game where you swap players with a click. But when you see Darnold keeping his production at a high level, putting up elite numbers across several categories, and then you look at an offense in Minnesota that cannot get out of its own way, that quiet sense of regret creeps in. Nobody likes to say it out loud, but it is there, and you only get this kind of fan-side honesty here. There is also another angle. While Darnold is thriving, the Vikings might be rolling with Max Brosmer as the starter, with JJ still fighting through the protocol. On one side, you have a confident veteran loaded with weapons in a stadium that stays loud all game. On the other side, a rookie trying to prove he is more than a footnote in a plan that was never really designed around him. It is a clash of realities inside the same story that started in Minnesota. It almost feels scripted. At the end of the day, this matchup is more than just another line on the schedule. It is emotional, it is about memory, it is constant comparison. If Darnold lights up the Vikings defense and the offense has no answer, the conversation around the front office's decision is going to explode even more. If the defense holds firm and the offense finds some way to compete, at least everyone can breathe a little bit. Drop your take in the comments and do not go anywhere because now the focus shifts to the player taking the most hits in this whole story. Next, we are going all in on JJ McCarthy, on how the locker room sees this rough start, and on what Justin Jefferson still believes he can become. There is a level of honesty there that might shake some fans who have already written him off. Let me be real with you. When I saw Kevin O'Connell talk about Sam Darnold this week, I felt that big game knot in my stomach. It did not sound like a coach giving standard respect at the podium. It sounded like a former play caller looking at his old quarterback and thinking, If we slip even a little, this guy can ruin our Sunday. You can feel it in the way he chose his words. He pretty much admitted that Seattle's offense is riding a massive wave of confidence. He said that with Darnold running the show, they move the ball like any top offense in the league, that when they get in trouble, it is because of turnovers. Then you add in that home stadium rocking, a record of 8 wins and 3 losses, an aggressive defense backing them up. You just know this is a brutal test for a Vikings team still trying to find itself. The Purple Faithful suffer, but they ride along. To be fair, I get why O'Connell's respect almost sounds like concern. Darnold is playing at a level a lot of people never thought he would reach. He is near the top of the league in completion percentage, passer rating, yards, and touchdown passes. And he is doing all of that right after the best season of his career in Minnesota. It feels like he took the foundation he built with the Vikings and just climbed another step in Seattle. Meanwhile, we are here thinking that was supposed to be our sequel. It stings. O'Connell also spoke in a way that shows just how well the Vikings know Darnold from the inside. He said Darnold has logged a ton of reps against this defense in practice, that he knows exactly where to attack, that he can make every throw in the playbook, and that is the truth. We watched it in 2024, in practice, in games, in crunch time drives. If the secondary is not perfectly dialed in, one blown coverage turns into a deep shot over the top in a heartbeat. I've pictured that play in my head about 10 times already this week, but O'Connell did point out something important. This Seattle offense is not flawless. They already have 10 interceptions on the season. Darnold will force throws. He trusts his arm a little too much at times. The difference is that out there, the rest of the roster absorbs the mistakes, and the narrative always leans positive. In Minnesota, any quarterback misstep becomes a full-blown storm. The one bit of comfort is that the Vikings' pass defense has quietly been one of the better units in the league, and if there is ever a day for them to show up big, it is this one. You only get this kind of fan-level breakdown here. Deep down, I see this game as a test of identity. If Darnold walks all over the Vikings and the team disappears, the sense that the franchise made the wrong call in the past will only get louder. If the defense closes windows, forces mistakes, and keeps the score under control, some of that weight comes off everyone's shoulders. Tell me what you think in the comments. And listen up now, because the next part is basically an X-ray of our number 9 situation. It is Justin Jefferson breaking down this turbulent start for JJ and explaining what he still believes the kid can become. Some of it sounds like tough love, but it is really a vote of confidence. I have to say, this last piece hits differently for anyone who lives and dies with this team every Sunday. Because it is not just anyone talking about JJ McCarthy, it is Justin Jefferson, an all-pro, the face of the franchise, the guy who feels every stalled drive in this offense. When he says, "It has been tough about JJ's start," it is not a cheap shot. It is the honesty of someone who sees everything from the inside. I am not going to lie. I had to take a breath when I heard it. Jefferson called JJ's early career tough, and there is no arguing that. The kid comes into the league and loses his entire first year to a meniscus injury. He watches Sam Darnold play at a crazy high level. Then he comes back in 2025, gets dropped into a sputtering offense, and later suffers a nasty high ankle sprain against the Falcons. That is a lot of mental and physical hits in a short window. Of course, his confidence takes a beating. To be straight with you, most wide receivers in that situation would be tempted to throw their quarterback under the bus. The fan base is impatient. The offense is stuck. JJ's numbers are near the bottom of the league, and even Carson Wentz, for all his limitations, looked more in control at times. The setup is perfect for the finger-pointing to start. Instead, Jefferson went the other way. He admitted things are rough, but publicly doubled down on his belief that JJ can turn it around. To me, that is huge. He talked about learning, about the transition, about how JJ is still figuring out the speed and rhythm of NFL football. He reminded everyone that JJ had to battle through a major injury right out of the gate. It is not an excuse, it is context. The message between the lines is clear. Relax, he is still in the process. And when the top player on the roster sends that message, he is asking everyone who loves this team to take a breath before delivering a final verdict. You only hear this kind of fan-side reading here. The problem is that the season clock does not stop. The defense is out there, doing enough, holding up its end more often than not. The offense is not. With JJ on the field, the record is worse, the passer rating is near the bottom, and every mistake turns into internal trending topic material among fans. It is natural for the fan base to start looking around, thinking about Darnold, comparing to Wentz, and wondering about the next draft. I have had those late-night what now thoughts myself, wide awake. But there is one thing Jefferson said that I cannot shake. He believes JJ is going to come back different from what everyone expects. That is heavy. It might sound like just another quote, but coming from him, it feels like a locker room promise. Like he is saying that this is not over, we are just in the ugliest chapter. The responsibility, of course, sits on JJ's shoulders. He needs to stop freezing after the snap, make firmer decisions, trust his arm, and trust the system. Let me know in the comments if you are still with him. And stick with me for the closer, because in the conclusion, I want to pull all these threads together. Ridder returning, Brosmer getting a shot, Darnold shining in Seattle, O'Connell anxious, and Jefferson still standing by JJ. The last part is about saying out loud what a lot of fans only admit in their own heads. After all of that, it is impossible not to feel a mix of pain and hope. On one side, you see Ridder coming back, Brosmer getting his opportunity, and Darnold lighting it up somewhere else. You hear O'Connell speaking with that blend of respect and concern, and you see Jefferson holding the line for J.J. McCarthy. It looks like chaos, but to me it is a crossroads. Either this team finds itself now, or the franchise is headed for major changes in the coming months. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this space belongs to everyone who lives the Purple Faithful. Just when we think we have seen it all with this team, something new shows up. Do not blink. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.